Hey all, Board Game Rancher, we'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more, and I'm going to go over this war of mine. Quick little review here from a solo perspective. I'm going to show you a little bit about what the game is about and give you my thoughts on the other side. So this war of mine, very generally, it's about survival. It's about these poor people who are in the middle of a war-torn, war-ravaged town. And they're just trying to survive. That's really the goal. And you got to go from day to day trying to keep your characters alive. And there's some other goals too that you'll draw, but that's essentially it. These guys, the base game, you're going to start off hungry, and that's going to limit your actions, as will all these other types of afflictions. You can get wounded, you're going to get miserable, you're going to get fatigued and ill and stuff, and all those things can lower your ability to do stuff, and you'll get you that closer to losing the game. If you kind of max out any of those, you usually lose that character. So in this game, you're going to follow you can print this nice little sheet out where it goes through all the different phases that you got to encounter: a morning phase, and a day phase, and a dusk phase, evening, scavenging, night raid, dawn, and then starting a new day. So in the morning, you're going to basically, the game is divided into 3 chapters. And chapter 1, you want to complete a particular random objective, in this case, staying fit. And then there's going to be a chapter 2, and then a chapter 3, of course. And then if you manage to keep at least one of your original characters alive and in a pretty good state, you win the game. But when you draw an event, you're typically going to add some cold tokens. That's part of what you're going to be dealing with, is just the basics, just trying to stay warm, trying to stay healthy, trying to stay fed, drinking, water. But you're going to have to protect yourself against people raiding your house. So this represents a house from these night raids that are going to occur. And so you got to always have someone guarding the house while you send some other people. This area represents going out and scavenging and finding foods and supplies and stuff. So during the next phase, after you've drawn an event, you get to take actions. And you're going to take actions here in your house. So you're going to want to go to this closed door and unlock it. You're going to have to pick that lock. You're going to have to take a shovel with you, go up here, clear some rubble so you can get to these closed doors. There's sort of a path here that you have to. There's no like movement actions, like, oh, you get 3 movement actions, 1, 2, 3, or something like that. No, it's you basically just, it's where you can access. So this kind of gives you a good idea. You can follow the little black lines there to figure out where you can go, and then but then there's going to be obstacles in your way. This rubble is in the way of going over and seeing what kind of furniture items you got. These bars, you got to get a saw blade to cut through those. So you'll be taking actions to do these things, and every day you get 3 generic, 3 actions, but you always get minus however many your most pips that you have on any one thing. So if this guy is ill, 3, no actions. That clears out all his actions, but he's just fatigued, and so this means this guy is only going to get 1 action. So you don't add up the pips. It's just kind of, whoever's the most afflicted is going to affect the number of 3 actions that you could take. So you're pretty lucky to be able to take 3 actions on any given day. You just got to really whittle away at these different things to do it. So after you've taken your actions for the day, and also too, you're going to be clearing off these areas so that you can build stuff. And there's things you can craft here. You can craft a bed. You can craft, build a rainwater collector so you can make sure you're getting water. You can build a metal shop so you can maybe build some. It tells you on the other side what you can. Once you craft it, it tells you what it costs to craft it. 5 components, 3 wood. Then you have action. You have these actions available to you to build a knife, build a hatchet, build a lockpick, and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of cool things you can build to help you survive, but you have to clear off space in your house to be able to put those cards down. Then you are going to go to a dusk phase where, you need to drink and eat. And basically, if you don't, it's bad. Then you're going to go to the evening phase where you decide if people are going to go out and scavenge or sleep or guard the house. You always have to have at least one person guarding the house because there's going to be a night raid. And then you're typically going to want people to come out here and do some scavenging. But if they're too fatigued or whatever, or you just want to keep them from going out and risking anything, you can just have them, sleep on the floor. Of course, I mean, there's ways you can build a bed. So once you've decided who's doing that, then you go into this scavenging phase. It's a very cool phase, and you're going to go out. You can visit these locations. The nearer you are, the more potential scavenging you can do. The farther you go, the fewer scavenging cards you're gonna get. Basically, that's represented by these exploration cards, and you'll draw as many as if these guys say go to this small apartment building, you'll draw 14 cards, and then you'll resolve them one by one, and it's pretty cool. As you resolve them, there's the side that you resolve, but there's also sometimes you'll find cards that will tell you to return an exploration card to do something. So this also, rather than resolve them, these also count as kind of payment, the time and energy it takes to do something. So you might have to put this back in the exploration deck there to resolve the action on a card. Just to peek through a keyhole. It takes a little time and energy. If you want to search this heap, you're going to have to return 2 exploration cards and raise the noise. So that's the other thing when you're out scavenging. You got to keep the noise down. Otherwise, you're going to attract unwanted attention from nearby residents who might just come and try and kill you or try to steal your food, whatever. It's usually bad. Not always, but usually. So you're out here, and you're going to be going through your exploration deck, paying with cards, possibly rolling for noise and having to deal with residents and stuff until you run out. But then oftentimes you're going to end up with a lot of cool little goods. You might end up with there's a whole host of things over here. You might find some canned food, you might find some mechanical parts, or you might find some chems or some meds, or just some of the basics, some coffee, maybe some moonshine. You'll find all these things, and out there too you can take actions to trade. So if you really need food and you found a bunch of stuff you don't need, you can take trade actions depending on where you're at. Actually, none of these allow you to trade, but typically there's good grief. Typically there's a way. There we go. Return 6 exploration cards to trade. So there's all sorts of cool locations, and in these locations there's all sorts of different things you're more likely to find than not. So great decisions to be made there. Then you'll get to decide what you want to take back. You're going to have a findings pile here, but before you get to return, whoever you left here to guard the house has to go through a night raid phase. And this is going to be bad, and you might want to have, this is where it's nice to have a weapon so they can guard the house more effectively. Night raids are typically not a good thing. So after you've done the scavenging I just went over, then you survive the night raid, then you go to this dawn phase, and your scavenging party returns, you get your goods, everybody comes back. Hopefully they brought back a pile of fun stuff. This is what you start with in the game. Some raw food, some wood, some components, a shovel, lockpick, some water. And then you are, maybe you're going to assign some maybe bandages or whatever, some meds to people. Then you're going to have to go up here. You're going to have to draw a fate card, which is it's more like another event action, basically, is what it is, just at the end of the day. And then narrative actions, you get to draw a couple of those, pick one. Those are typically very good. This is the one good thing in the game. So you get to do that here in the dawn phase as well. It says draw and resolve a fate card, bad. Narrative action card, draw 2 cards, keep 1, that is good. And then, you've got this, if you lost anybody, somebody died or left, you're going to have to roll. You've got empathy numbers here. You've got prowess, that gives you re-rolls. Inventory, this tells you how much weight these guys can carry, because some of the stuff you might scavenge for is heavy, and so you're only going to be able to take so much back, typically, not everything. So that, and then you start a new day, and you go back up and you do it again, and you do it again until you work your way through all the event cards there, and hopefully you survive. And that's very difficult to do with this game. There's also a cool way that you can play sort of scenarios. And these kind of put you in an advanced state, and then you play from there. But this is the basic game. Maybe I'll play a round or two of this and just show you what it looks like. So I'm halfway through the first day. You can see I've clear it out. There was a couple piles of heap there. I got some wood, some components, built up a bed, built up a workshop here. Had Marn, who's awesome at just poking about and finding some good, lots of components and stuff. So that's why I was able to build so much. But unfortunately, Bruno's already kind of starving. Got Boris here and Mern, who are doing pretty good. Bruno's pretty grumpy, pretty miserable, so we're going to leave him back at the house to guard. You have a grumpy guard, you stand a better chance against those night raids. That's my theory. And also, too, you got Boris and Marn, who just want to go out and scavenge. Don't want grumpy Gus over there. We're going to take a look at the ruined blocks of flats with our shovel. Maybe we can dig through some rubble and find some good stuff. Something I didn't even talk about yet. There's a whole book of script, huge book, all numbered little stories here, and what's going to guide you to the number are cards like this, where I have to go over here, draw a color card. It's going to tell me, so I got to look up the red entry, and it tells you, what card to look for, and then check the number with that color on the exploration chart on this location's card. So I've got to look up over here where I'm at. Exploration, I'm going to have to look up at entry number 7 and see what happens. Very cool. And here we are at the end of the day. Quite a haul we brought back. However, poor Bruno came across some starving people here. And fortunately, he rolled. First roll was try to defend the house, rolled a blank, but he gets one reroll, and he rolled 2 fists. Basically two-fisted these starving people, which just reduces from 4 and 1 is 5 total. Now they -2, so they took our food and took some other stuff, which kind of sucked. But it was a huge haul that Boris and Marn brought back, and more than made up for it, basically. Then we had to resolve some basic, another sort of an event phase where the fate card had. I mean, Bruno is not adjusting well to this newfound life here of survival, whereas Boris and Marin are thriving more or less. We got a great card here, narrative action. It's going to allow us. We've got a bed over there, so this is going to come in handy because I can exhaust someone and then throw them in bed and get some. Anyway, that was handy. But that's basically the first day, and how the board will change as you start removing bars, furniture, rubble, and stuff, and replacing it with beds, metal workshops, and building out your house. You're going to want to fill in holes here so that you can button up against the cold. Otherwise, people are going to start getting ill, etc., etc. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about what I'm thinking about this war of mine. Bottom line is, I love this game. I don't know about the same designers or whatever. Awakened Realms, Nemesis, one of my very, 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 very favorite solo games. And this has similar qualities, just solid little areas, mechanics. I love the exploration mechanic. Love it. That's my favorite part of the whole game. And then the other stuff, mechanics sprinkled throughout. A lot of times I feel like games suffer from just a smattering of mechanics to deal with this, deal with that, deal with that. But what makes it work for me anyways, when it's dire, when like just with a roll of a dice, something, I mean, it's very meaningful. It's very drastic rather than a smattering of mechanics, and nothing in particular really affects anything. Here it's like every single little thing, every die that you roll, every card that you flip, drastic stuff happens, which makes it very cool. It can make it very frustrating too. I played this game, I think, around 8 times, and I've lost every time. I've come close 2 times, but even though you lose, doesn't matter. So, bottom line is, solo-wise, this is fantastic. This is my kind of game. I've been digging it. Setup is quite a bit. You got a lot of stuff here to set up. It's going to take you 15 minutes or so to just get that game out. 15, maybe more minutes. But in between games, you can set up. I'd say in a little over 5 minutes. It actually resets pretty quickly. 5+ minutes or so. Takes up a good chunk of table space. This will gobble up your average coffee table easily. And length of play is long. It is a long game, especially the main way that you play it. The 2 scenarios the game comes with do shorten it up a little bit, but it's still pretty long. I mean, you're going to play if you're gonna make it all the way through this, it's probably gonna be a few hours. I mean, 2 to 3 hours, I would say. So long game, longer than I usually like, but I mean, as you can see, I mean, just day one, you've just got these stories generated from these characters. Your character cards have literal faces on them that like make everything more like impactful because it's not just a little miniature. There's a guy, with a real face. Very cool. Anyway, components, fantastic. Everything's great. Tons of cards, tons of little chits, tons of cardboard stuff. The board looks great. You can actually flip this over and play a more difficult house. Oh man, I can't even imagine. But so there's so much more to this game left and accessible to me. And I've already played it 8 times. I feel like I'm just not very good at it or something. I don't know. The theme is, I don't know. It's top-notch theme. I mean, it's dark though. This is not a happy game. So if you're looking for a cheery little experience, ain't gonna be this War of Mine. It is dark. So, and some people, it might be a bit much in this day and age. For me, I love it, and I just keep in mind, I try to put myself into that game. And what would I do to survive? Can be a little harrowing. Tell you what, you realize some things maybe about yourself. And as far as the rule book goes, I don't know, the rule book, that was weird. They did this weird thing where they tried to do this journal, and you kind of learn how to play as you go. I don't think it was very successful. And then they sort of leads you into this book of scripts to find rules and stuff. And I mean, it was interesting, but I don't think that's kind of it tried to do something there with just getting people into the game, but there was way too many questions, and you end up having to look at everything anyway. And it's just, I think it would have been better just to have a regular rule book, but whatever. Gameplay more than makes up for it, and you can find all the stuff that you need. There's plenty of things to look up on BGG or whatever. Mechanics, solid, absolutely solid, beautiful. I mean, just all the little systems, interplay as you work your way throughout the day, perfection. Well, near perfection. I mean, top notch. And strategy-wise, well, I don't know. Strategy-wise, you got much here. You got, I mean, you do. No, I take that back. There's a lot of luck involved too. So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, it's like a 50-50 thing. You can make some dumb moves and take some dumb risks, especially while you're out scavenging or doing any number of things. So lots of luck, but also some very cool directions to go based on what the game gives you. You might really need certain things in one game and not other games. So it's great to have all these options up here, all these different things that you can build out based on what the game throws at you. So solo-wise, this is what I look for. It's beautiful, just immersive. And even though it takes a long time to play each game, it goes by so quick because you're just in it, and it just takes you away. And I love that when a game does that for me. So difficulty wise, don't need to worry about if it's too hard or not, because it ain't. Like I said, I've not won once, and I'm okay with it because just the experience each time is it's just delicious. The game is marvelous. Replayable as all get out, and there's some expansions you can pick up for this, 2 expansions that just add more stuff. I'm still not even tired at all of what I've got here, and with 8+ plays. So that's it. That's what I'm thinking about this War of Mine from a solo perspective. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out.